Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another installment of the Rogue Soul YouTube channel. I am your host, Javante, and I am back again with another heart to heart, another video. Just sort of, again, keeping myself accountable and trying to open up and express myself. And today I would like to talk about being a bully, obnoxious, sort of like in like a bratty sort of way. Now, with myself, I am very, like I said in a previous video, I have my struggles as far as wanting to control things, and a lot of times when when I get into that energy, I become a bit of a brat. I become very much so, like I said earlier, obnoxious. I become real bully-ish. I become real, it has to be my way. See my way. See what I'm saying to you, you know. And I struggle real heavy with this. Again, I grew up in a different sort of like environment that sort of, I felt very controlled, very much so sheltered, very much so couldn't really get out there and experience things. And my reason for this, my childhood wasn't filled with, like multiple friends and, like sleepovers at people's houses, or, going out with friends and going places and stuff like that. It was much, I felt like every time like I would ask to like hang out with somebody, especially growing up, it was a majority of the time a good between 80 to 90% of the time it was a no. Now, it wasn't like I was hanging out with, like terrible people or like just fucked up individuals or anything like that. Just, regular, degular kids my own age. And my mother wasn't very encouraging as far as, being outgoing. You had to, it was like friends were okay for school as long as there wasn't like no trouble with you like not having friends at school, or you getting bullied or anything at school. But when I was like little, it was very much so no. No, not bringing them here to the house, not going out there to their house because I don't know them, you know, not not really engaging like with people, you know. So I never really got that experience really like growing up with like elementary and like elementary school and whatnot. Growing up very much so, like around other kids a lot. And and it wasn't like all, I'm not gonna say that it was like 100% all the time. I will say there have been like times where, I was able to go out and have a good time, but there are, of course, strict parameters. I couldn't, um, like be out, not like when the street lights come home, like be out. It would still be like daytime, like full daytime, not even really evening time. Like you get 30 minutes. You get no more than like an hour, then you come back here, just stuff like that. Like I mean, one time it's like I had kids that stayed on the same block that I stayed on, and they were, nobody, again, regular kids, just, having a good time, laughing, playing whatever the fuck. And I wouldn't really get too many opportunities to, be around them, or like be around like really people my own age, a lot of the time. But majority of my time I was alone. Like I would be like as a child, like little, like throughout elementary, I'd be like in my room, playing with whatever, whether it be like toys or, with video games. Once I started getting into video games, it would just be that. Um, as I got older, I got more encouragement to go out and like be around people. But I noticed a shift. It was more of a push to be around people that I'm not really like, or I don't really have too much in common. And I felt at the time that the only reason why you're pushing me into, doing these things with these different people is to push me into a lifestyle that I wasn't a part of, that I wasn't in. I was a gay, well, not was, I am. I was a gay man, well, gay boy at the time. I was a gay boy at the time. And, I had, discovered this thing about myself, and I, kept it secret. I had seen that I have observed, family making fun of gay people on TV, and not really being receptive to gay people. And, I've had my scares, with my mom. I call them scares, but it's like, where later on, like in high school, like she, like once in a blue moon, would catch me talking to some boy, like over the phone or whatnot, via like text message. And like she would see text messages and, would ask, questions about like, what is that? And, anyway, just a whole bunch of experiences that just sort of like I felt forced me into this cocoon. And then to come of an age where you're pushing me to, well, why don't you go out there, and play basketball, or go try out, go and, you know, p- try out for like the football team. I'm not a football boy. I'm not a basketball boy. I find basketball boring. I only played basketball when I was younger, and to basically shut everybody up about pestering me to do a sport, especially like not just like any sport, a sport that I cared about. Well, not I cared about, a sport that I didn't care about. And no one pushed me to do like a sport that I was like, oh, okay, that I actually like, that I felt like I might care about. No one wants to push you to do golf, or no one wants to push you to play tennis. No one wants to push you to do fencing, but they want you to do basketball and football. So it was just very much so blah to me. And I feel like And then it was always, why don't you, get yourself like a girlfriend and bring her around? But then it was like, I can't bring nobody around you guys. You guys are rude. You guys are disrespectful. It's been countless times my mother would tell me if I was to bring any girl home from any other nationality aside from being black. For example, if I was to bring home a girl that was of Mexican descent and have like the Mexican culture, she would like put again like make like some type of Mexican dish. Like I couldn't remember off the top of my head. String up piñatas and put the gnomes out with like the gnomes sitting there with like the hats over their heads and whatnot, like they're sleeping, and everyone's gonna be wearing sombreros and like all this crazy shit. And that if I was to bring home like someone of Asian descent, she would, we'd be eating dinner around the living room table with like sitting on pillows, and it would be like a whole bunch of rice and just a whole bunch of racist shit. And it's just, one, I'm not into women like that, and two, even if I was, I wouldn't bring nobody around y'all. I wouldn't bring no friends around y'all. I wouldn't bring anybody around you. So, like I said, once I started getting those pushes to like do these different things, they were like pushes into a lifestyle that I didn't want to be at. I felt like at that age I was pushed to go into that lifestyle because, one, that was the lifestyle that they knew like personally, and two, I believe they may have had an inkling that I was gay and like knew that I was like just not, I felt like they knew something wasn't right by the time I got older, because I was a lot more angrier and a lot more bitter and spiteful, and it showed. I definitely showed it. I didn't like just lash out like for no reason. It was, if I lashed out, it was with cause. It was because someone, be it my mother or anybody, like says anything to me that was out the pocket or crazy, which would happen frequently. I just let your ass have it. But anyway, I got on a whole goddamn tangent for but growing up in that lifestyle of like just being like sheltered, and then like getting these pushes, but these pushes weren't for anything that resonated with you. These pushes weren't to get into things that had nothing to do with you. But then when you mention the things that you want to do, it's like it falls on deaf ears. And then you get questioned. Why you want to do that? Why do you think like that? And then also growing up in an environment where it's like you can't walk a certain way, you can't talk a certain way, you can't do different things. Everything is just so much no, and just controlled and control. I felt throughout those years that I didn't even have control over me. So I said to myself, I'm not going to, one, I want to get the fuck out of this situation. Easy way out, college. I don't ever have to fucking come back. That's another story for another day. And when I do leave, I'm going to try to start as much as I can within reason, because I'm still well within somebody else's house. Meaning like my mom, my relatives, my grandmother, or whoever, anybody that I was living with at that point in time. I'm still within the bounds of that person's house. And it is a certain level of disrespect, you know, if you're just doing whatever the fuck you want to do in somebody else's house without, like, with no, like, regard for the other person, you know? So I did what I could within parameters, but I said to myself, when I get out of this situation, no one is going to have control over me, what I want to do, how I want to do it, what I say. I'm going to be the one in control. I'm going to be the one that's the boss. And that's how I presented myself in front of everybody, friends, work. And a lot of times, people at work appreciated it, but a lot of times some people at work like didn't. Some people were for it. Oh, that's initiative. He's a boss in his own right or whatnot. He ain't taking no shit for nobody. And that's where it went. I wasn't always the nicest person. Even still, I'm learning to be more kinder. You know, I was always I was always a gossiper. I will always gossip about people. That I wasn't cool with. If I was cool with you, I was cool with you. I didn't. Whether or not we were like friends or not, if I was just cool with you, I was cool with you. But if I wasn't, and I didn't give a shit. If anything was brought up, I'm like, what'd you say? For real? What'd they do? What happened? Oh my God. I heard this. I seen this. I was always in those gossip conversations because people just felt comfortable telling me things. They felt comfortable talking to me about everything because that was the energy I was putting out, that I was down for that type of shit. When you're in obnoxious, bratty, that energy of, yeah, I do and I say what I want. And, that energy comes back in different ways. It comes back to you in different ways. I'll just say that. And, people, they feel real comfortable around me a lot of times. And then they get to running off at the mouth as far as everybody and themselves. And I would listen, I would ask questions, I would participate in those conversations. If I would engage in making fun of people, like if I seen somebody who, was dressed a little off, I said my piece, I said my shit, you know. And when I came in dressed a little off or whatnot, when I had my days, free range. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was always with me, look, say what the fuck you want to say. You ain't gonna fucking step to me about shit. You ain't gonna do shit about it to me. None of you weren't. I didn't care. It was a free for all. And plus, I said some shit I done said plenty of shit about people. So therefore, whatever the fuck happens, happens. If you dish shit out, you gotta be willing to take shit back. That's how I was. That's just how I saw it, and I just didn't give a fuck. So I was very much so. I was very rambunctious. I was very much running around here, playing boss baby with everybody. I don't give a fuck. It's what I say, and listen to me, and doing this whole mature, this whole mature thing, not realizing that I'm not as mature as I think I am. Really, I'm just acting like a spoiled brat. I do what I want, I buy what I want, I say what the fuck I want. Consequences be damned. There are gonna be consequences anyway. I can take it. Just sort of like just in that. Just I was very much so, especially when it came down to like work. And I've been working on that for a minute now, as far as like trying to when I catch myself going into that space to stop, dial back, and not be in that controlling, obnoxious energy. Because when I am, I get real. It's not passionate, but I get real in your face telling you what's what. And I'm pinpointing every flaw in whatever statements you're saying, in whatever process you're trying to put together. And I'm throwing questions at you. Well, what about this? You said this, but we got policy that says this, that, and the third. We can't do that. So how are we going to work around that? I would ask questions like that, and I would get very much so real direct with it. We don't need to do that because we have our own parameters here. We already have this, we already have that. So why are we doing that? That doesn't make sense. All right, we can do it. I mean, you are the boss. That's up to you. You can make that decision. Just shit like that. Not really realizing at the time that that's being obnoxious. That's being a bastard to people. That's making people feel less than, smaller than, and like trying to make things just swing your way. It's very much very controlling, you know. And even like in my life, I try to control it to like just to the fine details. Like, I have to be stable. I have to be mentally sound and together, even when I don't feel like it. I have to be very in control of my emotions. I can't be flipping out when I need to flip out. Some shit just don't need to be said when you need to express. You have to open up. You have to be willing to take guidance from people. And I wasn't really willing to take too much guidance from people. I was very much so very rambunctious. I was very much a little rapscallion running around here doing shit, getting into shit. Nothing like bad, or nothing bad or anything like that. I wasn't out here willing and dealing like that. I was just going around, just again like, hey, if you gonna fuck with me, very much so know that I'm in control. You could be in control too of you, but you're not going to overstep me. You're not going to overstep my bounds. Final say comes down to me. The final say is mine. Even with my life, I even got to the point, even like with religion and stuff, I never, I never much, I didn't even want religion to like to have control over me. I never wanted to be bound by rules or guidelines that I felt just were against me from the beginning. I always like just felt that it just didn't seem right. Once you grow up from being a child, if you're a child growing up in the church, I'm talking like young, like baby, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatnot. You're going through, you're doing it, you're learning and whatnot. Once you start getting a voice about yourself and start smelling your own piss and start, you know, having some sense about yourself. And when I say sense, I don't mean like common sense. I mean like sense, like, oh, I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling that I got feelings too. I got a consciousness too, and I feel like I can say no now. I can think a little for myself now. That's what I mean by that. You start questioning things. You start seeing things more and more. Like, I don't know about that. That sounds wrong. Or, that why does that? You get what I'm saying? It's just very much so not like registering fully some of the shit in regards to like religion and stuff, especially like to me being a gay boy at that time. Um, so it's even hard, even with me getting into like spirituality. It's even hard for me to talk to spirit and talk to God, and it's hard it's even hard for me to like. I do take the guidance when I do take the guidance when I can, but it's hard even for me to get back into a spiritual practice. Even if it's not the same like how it was when I was a non-denominational when I registered as a non-denominational Christian, because having to you know ask permission or ask or just always have to talk to somebody before having to do something. It puts me back into that space of growing up, you know where it wasn't just within reason, you know where I can understand a 5-year old not just going out and playing with people. You get what I'm saying? But never. We weren't always in bad neighborhoods or anything like that. We really weren't in bad neighborhoods at all. We always had like very decent neighborhoods. We moved around a lot. Another story, another time. But we was always in a good neighborhood. You know, it was more than just keeping your child safe. It was more than just the regular ask permission, or you can't go over there because I don't know them. It was more than that. It was you never took the time to get to know them. You didn't want me to bring them over to get to know them. You didn't want to go to them to get to know them. You didn't really go to like school functions to meet my potential friends, parents, shit like that. It was more than just that. It was just more than just the regular. It was, I gotta keep you with us, and I got to mold you. It just takes me back to that. And then it takes me back to religion. And that's when, sometimes I do get in my very much so bratty behavior. I want to do what I want, and it's been so long not really getting too much say so. And, now when I'm getting into the say so and whatnot, I'm learning it's not best. You can't have cake every day, Javante. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm a grown ass man. If I want cake every day for breakfast, I'm gonna get cake every day for breakfast. You're gonna end up fucked up. You can't have cake every day for breakfast. You can't have sweets all the fucking time. You know, I was a motherfucker. I got a sweet tooth. You know, you gotta have full balanced meals. You gotta learn discipline in regards to yourself. We can't always do what we want. We can't always have that control. We can't always predict and be prepared for everything life throws at you. Yes, I can be as stable as I want. Anything can happen as far as to shake up my stability, regardless of how much money I have, of how much of a sound mind I try to be in, or any goddamn thing. It's always something that can come through and shake it up, and you can't be prepared for everything. And I had to learn that. You know, I can't have a plan for everything. I can't have everything mapped out and then say it as if I'm God. You know, my family told me they believed that I had, a bit of a God complex, when it came down. It, I definitely can see that with myself. I can be very, very much so controlling. When I was in relationships with, with other men, I would try to, if I felt like they weren't really doing anything like with their lives, I would try to map out like their lives for you. Like, okay, well, what do you want to do? What do you like? Okay, well, we need to get you a job first because you have to contribute if you want to be with, if you want us to like move in together, it talks like that, that you should be able to have with like your, significant other, boyfriends, girlfriends, or whatever. If you want, these things, you're going to have it with me at least, you're going to have to work too, you know, because you're not going to be using all of my money for every goddamn thing. Nope, I don't play like that. And you got to get you a job first. What's going on as far as like school? Do you need a degree for that? We can research it. Let's look it up. You know, we can do this. We can do that. We can have this. We can do that. We can do this, that. I'll help you write your resume. Boop, 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 boop. Here you go. That's a good one. Send it in. Let's go over interview questions. Boop, 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 boop. You get what I'm saying? Like, I would have it all mapped out. And getting them through the process, and just trying to be like prepared for everything, prepared for breakups in case they happen, making for sure that I harden myself. I would be able to so I can control my emotions. If stuff hurt, yeah, it'll hurt, but you gotta turn that hurt off because we can't. That shit is it's too painful to keep having to go through the same, hurt over and over if it's like a breakup. You gotta turn that shit off. You gotta do this, that, and the third. You gotta keep on going. Go get you some money. Go out and have a good time. Bring the joy back. And these are the things that I would tell myself. These are the things that I would do. These are the practices that I, would engage in. So, I say all this to say that this is something I'm still working on because I can still be a brat at times in different ways, shapes, or forms. And, I had to realize, even with like the things that I want to do, I even had to realize with myself that my inner child was not fulfilled. My inner child didn't get to have these experiences while growing up. My inner child imagined what they would be like, but they never got to participate in it. Now I'm in a space to participate in them, and that's just where I am in life. But I have to, with growing up, learning how to growing up just in general, I have to learn how to do things more like responsibly, I have to seek advice. I have to seek counsel. I can't just go off and just, you can, but it's better if you seek counsel first, if you seek advice first, or if you research. You don't have to do it alone, first and foremost. Like, if you have people that care about you and are willing to, like, assist you and help you, you know, get with them, ask them. That's what I keep getting told over and fucking over. It is hard for me. Sometimes I can do it with ease. Sometimes I can't. You know, one day I'll get to where I can do it all the time. Still working on it. We'll get there. And you don't have to be over controlling and try to have everything all together. You don't. You're a human. And I had to learn that about myself. It goes for me, it goes to even to the point where, I don't like feeling human. Everything that would make a human human, I don't like feeling that. I don't, just emotions in general, all the things that make you human, I'm uncomfortable with. you know, in the sense, it's a weird thing. I know, it's weird to me because I'm still trying to grasp it myself. But again, that's why we're on the road to seeking therapy for to work through issues that I've had that I never really like seen as issues, that I will like see as like growing points. So yeah, we're gonna continue. With all that said, we're gonna continue on working, learning, growing, and doing our best. You know, I thank you all for watching. Whoever, if you decide to watch this, and maybe I hope it, inspires you, to make different choices. If this is something that you can relate to, make different choices, and or make better choices, or you can see what either like a friend is going through that you notice something's off. You get what I'm saying? But I'm primarily encouraging myself also with this, even though again, a lot of these things are hard to talk about because I don't like talking about myself too damn much. But I thank you again for joining me. I'm gonna go and enjoy the rest of my evening. I encourage you all to do the same, and I will see you guys again in the next video. Bye bye.